instinct, and it shows that he can overcome adversity. You got to like it. It's a learning experience.
Well, coming up, we'll have our main event, Holyfield versus Foreman. But right now, let's go back to our host, Cambrell Marshall, for another TVKO Ringside Report.
Well, the doubleheader now by the wayside. Paez and Suarez, the technical draw. Tommy Morris are the winner so far, but the big win is yet to come as the Atlantic City Convention Center gets ready to rock and roll. We are just minutes away now from the main event, the Battle of the Ages, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield, taking on the challenger, George Foreman, all 257 pounds and 42 years old. And you've had plenty of time to think about it in terms of who you think is going to win this fight. And we've said that if you want to give your opinion, you feel certainly just go ahead and do it. Event, the Battle of the Ages, undisputed heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield. And, you know, certainly a great deal of attention tonight has been focused on this heavyweight championship, and we do mean heavyweight. And part of that is all toward George Foreman, because Evander Holyfield is a former cruiserweight fighter who bulked up to take on the heavyweight ranks. And the heavyweights, there are no limits. In this case, while the fight does not set a record for the heaviest fighter, in this case with George Foreman, it does come close. The weigh-in gained so much pre-fight attention that it was broadcast live via satellite. Evander Holyfield, the first to step up on the scales, not expected to set any records. After all, a former cruiserweight champion of the world had to go on an intense bulking up campaign to wage war as a heavyweight. For this fight, he is the exact weight he was when he won the title from Buster Douglas. 208 pounds.
Another former heavyweight champion of the world, challenger, George Foreman.
Every little bit counts with Foreman. Certainly has won over many of the media in this country. 4 years ago, when he began his comeback, he was around 300 pounds. He said he didn't like it, was self-conscious about it for quite some time, but he got used to it. And for this fight, though, he said he was planning to be quite lean and mean. In this case, it's still quite a load.
George Foreman, 257 pounds. George Foreman is in 257.
This kind of fight, heavyweight championship of the world, attracting a great deal of attention, certainly from the media around the world, and plane loads of media stars and celebrities came from all over this United States to be on hand for this fight. As much to be here as it is to be seen. I want to take a look at some of the stars who showed up to see the heavyweight fight tonight. Gene Hackman on hand. Kevin Costner, Dancing with Wolves, dancing up to the front row. Reverend Jesse Jackson. The Don, Donald Trump backstage. Randall Cunningham as well on hand. Leroy Neiman always on hand to sketch when there's a big fight around. Merv Griffin here on hand as well. Will Smith. I saw him at the crap tables earlier on. Billy Crystal. Right behind Muhammad Ali, by the way. Joe Piscopo as well. The stars, the stage, and the screen. And there is, of course, the former heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali, and they got a big standing ovation when he came in as well. It's always nice to see when the former champion gets that kind of ovation from the crowd on hand. You know, many times the weight of a fighter will make a difference one way or the other, but you think back 17 years ago when Muhammad Ali stepped into the ring against George Foreman. Foreman was a bigger fighter. In that case, it was brains over brawn, and Ali came out on top with the heavyweight championship of the world. Now, tonight's fight certainly seems to be one where there is no lack of opinion. Certainly, Evander Holyfield is the finer-tuned athlete, but there are many who give George Foreman a big chance to win it. Well, we took our own TVKO unscientific canvas of predictions, and here is the result.
Well, I think the attraction is that obviously George Foreman is a tremendously charismatic figure, and because we know he has tremendous power, and because we know that Evander Holyfield, as a heavyweight, has been rocked a couple of times, it makes you feel very much that George Foreman has a chance.
I think Holyfield's going to win it by a knockout in about 7 or 8. I think that what he just has to do is to wear George down. I think if he fights a foolish fight and decides that he's going to try and outslug the old man, he could very well get knocked out because nobody has ever outpunched George Foreman.
I like George Foreman's hairstyle and his age, but I'm going to go with youth, and I think Evander's ready for this one. I think he's going to win it.
I think the sentimental favorite's got to be George Foreman, the hamburger-eating 45-year-old preacher. Everybody across the country would love to see the underdog win.
If Holyfield can stay away from getting one serious blow from George, then he very well should be able to win the fight, but I wouldn't count out the possibility of George coming out victorious.
I would advise George to get his money as quick as he can because he's going to get knocked out in this fight. George can't fight anymore.
He can get you out of there. He's a heavy-handed puncher. I don't care if he's 60 years old. He can still whack you if you're there to be whacked.
Good luck, George. I'm with you. I think George needs to come out and get Evander into a street fight immediately. Not that he couldn't go 12 rounds, but I don't think that's got to be his thought. I think he's got to go in and show Evander that he deserves respect, that he can punch, that he can hurt Evander at any time.
Being old myself, I'd like to see George win, and I think a lot of old geezers out there would. But I think, so your heart probably says George, but your head has to say the younger, better conditioned man.
You have to be vicious to be great. And Holyfield is as vicious as any fighter I've ever seen inside the ring.
I think it's going to be an easy fight for Evander Holyfield if he comes in and works George's body and then goes up to the head. I predict the fight won't last 2 rounds. If George lands a big punch, who knows, but I don't see it happening.
Evander Holyfield's going to win, and this is why. In about the 4th round, Evander's going to take a biscuit out of his shorts. He's going to throw the biscuit to the right, and Foreman's going to look at it to try to eat it, of course, and he's going to give him an uppercut. Foreman's going to go down. Evander Holyfield's going to win the fight in, let's say, 4 or 5 rounds, whenever he can get the biscuit out.
George, go do it for the old guys.
Both of them guys are much bigger than I am. They can take me at any time. So I'm not going to predict. I predict a great fight.
The old biscuit in the ring prediction technique. Certainly, it's interesting when you get down to the heavyweight championship of the world, especially with a fight like this. Everyone has their opinion. Editor-in-Chief of Ring Magazine, Steve Farhood, thank you for joining me. How do you see this fight shaping up tonight?
Well, I see this as the end of George Foreman's comeback. I think Holyfield will win. I think he's a lot better fighter than anything George has faced so far. And the difference will be that Evander is primed. He's a warrior, and he's at his very best.
You think that we've been taken by the aura of the older age guy getting back into boxing?
Well, in a way taken, yes, but, you know, gladly taken by it. I mean, happily taken by it, because George is very popular, and he deserves the popularity that he's gotten because he's a natural. There's nothing phony about him. So I think, you know, it's very easy to understand why the public has fallen in love with him.
In this particular case, a lot of people made a big deal about this as being a farce beforehand. You think that George, even though you say Holyfield is going to win, you think Foreman has a chance to win this fight?
Of course he has a chance for the simple reason that he's a puncher. And he's very strong. Anyone George Foreman hits, as hard as he hits and as strong as he is, he has a chance to hurt. And he's a very good finisher. So yes, he has a chance to win, of course. Anyone he hits, he can knock out.
Okay, conventional wisdom says that Holyfield, being the younger and the better conditioned athlete, will win. Also, there is some speculation that the shorter the fight goes, the better opportunity that George Foreman has to win. You agree?
No doubt about it. I can't see Foreman winning a long fight or a distance fight. He's not trained, really, to go 10 rounds. I think he's very relaxed now in the ring, and that's a positive. And that will give him more stamina than he used to have when he was 25 years old. However, he's not trained to go 10 rounds. He has to win inside of 5 rounds to have a chance.
You think this is a make fight for Evander Holyfield? He was saying earlier that he really couldn't win in this kind of fight, because if he lost, he fought to an overage fighter, and if he wins, well, he's supposed to go ahead and beat a fighter like George Foreman.
It's a little bit of a no-win situation. If he wins impressively, he'll get the credit he deserves. If he wins and struggles, then everyone's going to look at Mike Tyson as the best heavyweight in the world again, even though Holyfield will still have the title. So in that sense, it's a no-win situation.
Well, we thank you for joining us. Go down by ringside, enjoy the fight, and we'll hold you to your prediction as well.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you. Steve Farhood, editor-in-chief of Ring Magazine. We thank you for joining us. Certainly, the Battle of the Ages, right around the corner. We'll be back right after this message.
Throughout history, boxing's megafights have withstood the punishing test of time. Dempsey versus Firpo, Lewis versus Schmeling, Foreman versus Frazier. Now there's a new heavyweight spectacle in the making. The awesome brute force of Big George Foreman versus the youthful skill and conditioning of undisputed champ Evander Holyfield in the Battle of the Ages. You can own a piece of boxing history by ordering your Holyfield Foreman Battle of the Ages gear from TVKO today. Call 1-800-457-TVKO to order everything from adjustable hats and all cotton t-shirts to rugged sweatshirts, official souvenir programs, and sleek satin jackets. Plus, a video cassette of boxing's best, the heavyweights, the big punchers featuring Big George Foreman. Just call 1-800-457-TVKO and we'll tell you all you need to know about how to get your fists on your Battle of the Ages merchandise. The phone call is free, so order now. 1-800-457-TVKO.
The crowd here in the Atlantic Convention Center, a rather smart crowd. They knew pretty much when the heavyweight championship of the world was going to be contested. They are showing up now in droves as some of the celebrities ringside are being introduced. Our celebrity ringside, Lynn Berman, ready to call the fight. And Lynn, this electricity certainly is the kind of thing that is very, very special to be a part of just prior to the heavyweight championship of the world.
Well, I think that's what we all enjoy in sports. Those of us who become sportscasters, you look for those big events, and I've been fortunate to be involved with the Super Bowl and the World Series and some very big college basketball games, and now a heavyweight championship of the world, and the crowd is just standing, trying to get a glimpse of each and every celebrity who's introduced, and some big roars have gone up. Larry Holmes was introduced moments ago. Several of the football giants, including Phil Simms and Jeff Hostetler, introduced as well. And the crowd craning their collective necks to try to get a look at some of these people. You saw on tape people such as Kevin Costner. There was even word that Madonna was expected as well. So it is very exciting. It's great to be a part of, and we're ready to get it on in just a few minutes.
You know, certainly the earlier fights were scheduled to go 10 rounds. Neither one of them went basically the distance, a halfway point, basically. You get the sense that the heavyweight championship fight is also going to be a rather short one.
You know, we have heard every single theory. I mean, we've heard from all kinds of people, from those who say this thing is going to be all over in one round to those who say we'll go the full distance. I mean, everyone has an opinion. The first fight, we certainly didn't learn as much about Lupe Suarez and Jorge Paez as lightweights than we wanted to because of the technical draw, because of the headbutt. Tommy Morrison, we learned a little bit about. He can take a punch. He was rocked by Yuri Bawulin, and Tommy Morrison still undefeated, did not go to distance, but I think we learned something about Morrison. What we'll learn in this bout that's coming up in a few minutes, I don't know. We've all heard every single opinion. I know viewers are calling in as well, and I just can't wait for round one to begin.
All righty, thank you very much, Lynn Berman. We'll be back to you in just a few moments. The time is now. Get set. We're minutes away from the Battle of the Ages, the heavyweight championship of the world. They've been in place, eagerly awaiting, along with me, the start of it. The Battle of the Ages coming up.
This is a great event. It's going to attract people from all over the world.
I'm the real deal, Evander Holyfield.
The world will see for a fact that you can't count a man out, not because of his age.
My job to go out there and convince him that he cannot win.
If I win, it's not a victory for George Foreman, it's a victory for mankind.
Something big is going down. His name is George Foreman.
I'm just one song away from being a heavyweight champion of the world.
Let's party.
The anticipation of a long-awaited matchup between two heavyweight fighters for the championship of the world is a feeling that is unmatched in any other sport. We are live from the Atlantic City Convention Center, where the electricity in this sold-out arena has reached a crescendo of excitement, curiosity, and fascination. Tonight, TVKO proudly presents Holyfield versus Foreman, the battle of the ages, brought to you by Budweiser. The excitement beginning to build now to a fever pitch. The crowd senses that the heavyweight championship of the world will be contested in just a few moments. The reigning heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield, was only 5 years old when George Foreman won his Olympic gold medal that eluded Holyfield because of a referee's controversial decision in the '84 Olympic Games. Well, the real deal, Evander Holyfield, shook off that disappointment. He was fighting as a cruiserweight, won that championship, bulked up, and was able to win the heavyweight championship of the world by beating James Buster Douglas. Now he's defending his title for the first time against George Foreman, a man who has undergone a tremendous transformation. 14 years ago, Foreman retired from boxing to preach the word of God. 4 years ago, he came back. 24 undefeated fights later, he steps into the ring, and as Lynn Berman reports, firmly believes that it's his destiny to become heavyweight champion of the world.
Tonight's fight has been dubbed the Battle of the Ages. A more appropriate title may have been a study in contrasts. Evander Holyfield is 28 years old and the heavyweight champion of the world. He's a young lion who considers his age to be a sign of stamina. In the other corner stands 42-year-old George Foreman and his mentor, the legendary Archie Moore. To them, age means wisdom.
The thing about being a fighter at my age better qualifies me to handle victory, of course, and to avoid being defeated, because I know all the pitfalls in boxing.
During Foreman's incredible comeback, he's made age his rallying cry. It seemed to always be the topic of conversation. How old are you?
39. No! You're at least 42.
For Archie Moore, who won the heavyweight title at 39 and continued to fight well into his 40s, there is nothing unusual about George's comeback.
When I told him I was getting ready to get back into boxing, I said, what do you think about the age? He said, listen, George, you're still a growing boy.
Holyfield, possibly the best conditioned fighter in boxing, has not taken Foreman lightly. But he still finds it hard to imagine that George, even with all his wisdom and experience, can beat Father Time.
I just think, you know, at 42, with all the confidence and all the power, you still got to be able to motivate your body to do the things that your mind is asking it to do.
In a way, that's exactly what Archie is counting on. He really feels that through his guidance and sharing his knowledge, George will be able to win mind over body.
He won't fail to win this title back. All the people who want to bet on the younger man, they can bet on him. I'm going to stick with the older man. George is going to win this fight.
As far as the training goes, Holyfield's is second to none. Possibly the most extensive program in boxing history. His camp seems like something out of the 21st century. His trainers call him the most dedicated fighter they've ever had.
I love the game of boxing. And by me loving the game of boxing, it's not a pain to get up in the morning to do what it takes to win.
From aerobic training to extensive weights to cardiovascular endurance, Holyfield is monitored every step of the way. His training and routines are specifically designed for him. For Lou Duva and George Benton, who came up through the old school, this has required some adjustment.
You're not going to stop high-tech, and I think it's here to stay, and I think it's a good thing that it applies and it works for my fighters. That's all I'm interested in, what works for my fighters.
In the Foreman camp, George works with Archie on the strength and tactical aspects of his game. It's been an even blend, physical and psychological.
This is training, refining, encouraging to make George feel that championship urge.
George's tremendous punching power has struck fear into everyone he's faced. The Holyfield camp is no different. They know that stamina alone will not topple Foreman.
We got a George Foreman in front of us now. We got a big guy that can punch, strong. So we have to learn how to handle that.
When it comes to weight, the experts have accused Holyfield of being too small and Foreman too large.
When I first moved into the heavyweight division, everybody was emphasizing that I was too light, and it started bothering me, and so I was trying to put on weight just to satisfy everybody else. Now I realize that the weight really don't make a difference. It's, how I perform.
Holyfield has put on 30 pounds since turning pro. But for Duva, it's not the fighter's weight that counts. It's the power he can generate.
The rap on Evander has always been that he's a small heavyweight. He's not a small heavyweight. He's a heavyweight, period. I mean, Rocky Marciano, Joe Louis. Joe Louis was 202 when he won the championship. Rocky was 186 when he won the championship.
Foreman has entered the ring during his comeback anywhere between 240 and 260 pounds. For George, his motto seems to be the more the merrier. He feels weight translates into punching power. And with 23 knockouts in 24 fights, he may have a point. When it comes to personality, this may be where they differ the most.
This is gonna be the big bump put on by Donald Trump.
George relishes the spotlight. He seeks it out. This heart-pounding preacher has made age and potential his sermon, and the press his congregation. Although Holyfield is the champ, he's kept more on the quiet side. He's content to sit back and let Foreman take the lead.
He's good in what he does, promoting himself. I feel that in the game of boxing, it's coming down to performance. I feel that I'm a great performer, and when it comes down to performing and when you come down to popularity, people love a winner.
For Holyfield, the championship has meant the limelight. He feels that's fine as long as it doesn't interfere with his commitment to do what he does best.
On the positive side, I've got a lot of attention, and I feel good because I have accomplished something in life that I really wanted. And I guess negative, I'm a lot busier than I would want to be. And I feel that a lot of time that take away from my game, which is boxing.
So the fighters have spoken. What about the viewers who decided to call in and give their opinions on tonight's fight? You'll find the results rather interesting. 4% think it's going to end in the first round with Holyfield on top. 6% think Holyfield will win it in the second round. 9% the third and fourth. You'll see that George Foreman, though, has really won a lot of converts. 11% think it'll end in the third round, 10% the fourth. If you look through the later rounds, you'll find out that there is a trend developing, and that is that most of the folks who called in seem to think that George Foreman will win this fight between the third and the sixth rounds. 11% in the fifth, 10% to 1% in the sixth. You move on down through the seventh and eighth rounds, and conventional wisdom seems to apply to the viewers as well. No one thinks this fight is going to go past the ninth round. But interesting that George Foreman has won over the fans leading into this heavyweight championship fight tonight. It is just about time to get underway. And for the action at ringside, let's go once again to Lynn Berman and Joe Goosen.
Thank you, Cambrell. And the viewers poll just adds up to what everybody else has been saying here. George Foreman is the people's choice. You know, he has made a total joke out of the entire press tour, his age, his appetite, but make no mistake about it, Foreman is dead serious about his training and this fight here tonight, Joe.
I'd say so. I know when I first saw George Foreman, I came into town, I saw him, I got in the elevator. I'm telling you, I've never seen a transformation like I have with this man. He took a lot of that 257 pounds, he took it from the middle and moved it to the top. When he was on the scale at the weigh-in, he flexed his arms and they were humongous. And he made Holyfield look small, and he is a big man himself.
Well, Holyfield, 14 years younger, 49 pounds lighter, but he does have a rock-solid build. We showed you some of those 21st century boxing techniques during that feature we had a moment ago, but he may be the only boxer in history to have a ballet instructor in his camp.
Well, and it may serve him well tonight, because tonight Evander's going to have to be very flexible. He's going to have to be very limber, because George throws those devastating bombs, left and right hands, right uppercuts, and he's going to have to be dodging the bullet tonight. And if it works for him, I may go out and get a 2-2 for myself. I mean, because that is wonderful, and bring it to my gym. Because he is going to be in trouble tonight if he doesn't move that head.
They want that flexibility. That's
right.
What the ballet instructor is all about. All right, our Goosen's Corner here on our TVKO fights, and let's start off with the challenger, George Foreman.
Well, George has got to do several things again to win this fight, and the first one being he's got to start quickly. Everyone knows he's 42 years old, and he's got to get off to a quick start. He can't overswing, and he's got to be accurate with his punches, mainly because of Holyfield's speed. He will counter quickly if he isn't accurate. And then, of course, he's got to corner Holyfield and make him fight. Trading is George Foreman's game, and he's got to make Holyfield slug with him. Of course, on the other hand now, Holyfield, he's got tremendous speed, and he must use that speed while he boxes intelligently. And he's got to box intelligently whether he's on the inside or outside, using that quick hand speed. He must never really get caught inside flat-footed. And then, of course, he's got to gain respect with his own punching power with Foreman. He's knocked out 7 out of 7 heavyweights. He's got to do it tonight with George also if he wants to win this fight.
Well, it is a remarkable story. You've read and heard about it, how he gained the heavyweight title in 1973 from Joe Frazier, lost it in 1974 to Muhammad Ali. And should George Foreman win tonight, look at that, he would hold the record and of course also be the oldest heavyweight champion ever, but it would have been 18 years and 3 months, surpassing Roberto Duran's record. And it is just a remarkable comeback story, and in many ways just the fact that he enters the ring, win or lose, Joe Goossen, it's a successful comeback.
Well, you know, of course you said it. Just by making it this far at the beginning of his first fight, nobody gave him a chance to make it past a few fights, and here he is at the top of the game, fighting the undisputed heavyweight champ of the world, Evander Holyfield.
And a roar goes up from the crowd as Muhammad Ali, the man who took his title in '74, has entered the ring. It's now time for our national anthem to be sung by the popular female quartet En Vogue. Let's go to Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to introduce our color guard. They're provided as a courtesy of the United States Naval Reserve Center here in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Let's give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And at this time, would you all please rise for the singing of our national anthem, a very special treat here this evening. It'll be sung by 4 very lovely ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, the sensational recording group En Vogue.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, and it was shining so brightly we held, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous devastation. Was so gallantly streaming, and the rockets shooby-doo-wow, the bombs bursting in air through the night. Our flag was still there. Say, does that star-spangled banner yet
Quite a rendition enjoyed by Kevin Costner, and to his right Marla Maples, and the dozens of celebrities are on hand at the Atlantic City Convention Center, and it's fitting that standing in the ring along with our national anthem singers Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, 2 men who played such a pivotal role in the career of the man making the comeback fight for the championship tonight, George Foreman.
One losing to him and the other beating him. Handed him his first loss, Muhammad Ali.
That was the birth of the rope-a-dope in Kinshasa, Zaire in 1974.
That's right, and you know that George Foreman went into that fight against Frazier as the underdog.
And people forget he knocked down Joe 6 times in those first 2 rounds to win that title in Kingston, Jamaica in January of 1973. And there will be no 3 knockdown rule tonight. So theoretically, one fighter could be knocked down 4 times or more in a round. And
it's doubtful in today's market they would have let that fight go on between Foreman and Frazier as long as they did then.
And George Foreman will be the first to make his way into the ring.
Who would have thought 4 years ago you were ever going to see George Foreman walking down the aisle to fight the undisputed champ?
This crowd will erupt. George said, I may be old, I may be fat, but he said, here I is.
Well, he doesn't look old and he doesn't act it, and he sure doesn't look real fat to me when I saw him on those scales. He looks big and scary.
Entire crowd is on its feet, trying to get a glimpse of George. He has come down the hallway. He is about to enter this arena, and you will hear it erupt the moment he does. Second oldest, second heaviest to challenge. And he has now entered the Atlantic City Convention Center. His record overall, the only two losses to Muhammad Ali and Jimmy Young. He said he had a religious experience after the loss to Young. Others called it heat frustration in Puerto Rico in 1977.
Jimmy Young not much bigger than Evander Holyfield is right now. So it has been proven that a smaller man can beat somebody like George Foreman.
All along, Joe, he had predicted that he would knock out Evander Holyfield in 2, and now he's hedged a bit, saying, well, maybe Holyfield will be running from me a bit.
Well, that's quite possible. I don't know if I'd call it running from George. I think he's going to try to outbox George. Sidestep, slip, move. He might end up running from him, but his game plan isn't to be.
People have asked all along, is this a fight or farce? And right now, your clear-cut answer is?
Well, I can guarantee you that when Evander Holyfield's walking on this aisle, gets into this ring, he knows he's in for a fight.
Let's talk about the ring for a quick moment. 20 by 20, and you described it to me earlier off camera as being a fast ring. What do you mean by that?
It certainly is. You know, a lot of rings from state to state vary. Some rings are a little bit softer. Your feet sink in them a little bit more, slows you down a little bit more. This would favor Evander Holyfield.
And here comes the champion with all of his belts, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, who has really taken a back seat and a quiet side seat to George Foreman. Holyfield undefeated as a heavyweight, undefeated as a professional boxer, and I think he's handled the fact that despite the fact he's the champion, he's been in the shadow of Foreman. He's handled it quite well.
Well, George Foreman is such a great personality. At any given time during the day or evening, he'd walk into the press room and say, here I am, anybody want an interview? He's so outgoing, so funny, and so personable. He has taken a backseat to George Foreman, Evander has. But he's a quiet type, and he doesn't make any bones about it. He likes being that way.
You see his knockout percentage. Expression very somber and very typical of Evander Holyfield.
Almost smirking as he coming in, as if to say this is not going to be too much trouble for me tonight. Well, he should look confident. He's the undisputed champ of the world right now, Len.
And Joe, at the moment, the WBC has yet to sanction this fight. It is sanctioned WBA and IBF. It's still tied up in an arbitration. But as far as the people feel, he's the undisputed champion.
No doubt about it. They've tried to take the WBC title from Evander Holyfield and failed. As a matter of fact, Judge Amos Saunders put a restraining order to stop them from taking it from him. So in the meantime, he still has it.
And here's Evander Holyfield. 25-0. 21 by knockout. Joe, nobody has ever been able to dictate a pace to George Foreman. Holyfield says he has to and will.
Well, on his comeback, they haven't been able to, actually. In the past 24 fights, Evander says he's going to do what he wants to do in there, and that's maneuver George around the ring and outbox him.
And he wants George to punch as often as he can get him to do it and get himself tired doing that along the way. George Foreman just ran over and playfully tapped Evander Holyfield, so George is still having a good time. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. The 14-year age difference. Height fairly similar, the 49 pounds of weight. Foreman for over 21 years, Evander Holyfield for just 6.
And here we have the CompuBox punch stats. This is averages over the last 3 fights. Punches per round. Holyfield throws 47 to Foreman's 45, lands 28 to Foreman's 24, and the connect percentage is 49% for Holyfield, 53 for Foreman. Not bad for either of them, quite equal as a matter of fact. And the CompuBox total jabs over a 3-fight average also very close. 25 a round for Holyfield, 20 for Foreman, 12 landed to 10 for Foreman, 48% to Foreman's 50%, and very close all the way around. If stats have anything to do with it, this could be a very close and equal fight.
Well, let's call in our resident judge from the state of Nevada, Cindy Barton, with the rules for this fight, which differ a bit from the undercard fight. Cindy.
Yeah, for this IBF and the New Jersey rules, there's a 10-point must system. There's no standing 8 count this time. This time there's also no 3 knockdown rule. The bell cannot save the fighter in any round, including the 12th, and the doctor can stop the fight.
And Joe, how about the third man in the ring, Rudy Battle? The referee Richard Steele became such a source of controversy with Tyson Ruddock.
Well, Rudy Battle was, of course, has refereed many championship fights, 41 to be exact. He's a very competent referee in the state of New Jersey. But I'm looking at here the third man in the ring for George Foreman's corner, Angelo Dundee, the new addition.
All right, let's go to the ring. And Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, Main Events Monitor Productions and Top Rank Incorporated, in association with the undisputed King of Beers, Budweiser, present the featured bout of the evening. This bout is sanctioned by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board, Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazard Sr., Chairman Jerry Gormley, Board members Gary Shaw and Richard Harrison, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Frank B. Dawkins. This bout is also sanctioned and approved by the World Boxing Association and the International Boxing Federation. The 3 judges at ringside scoring each round on a 10-point must system are Jerry Roth from Nevada, Eugene Grant from New Jersey, and Tommy Kazmarek from New Jersey. And the referee for this bout, working in a world title event for the 45th time from the state of New Jersey, is Rudy Battle. And ladies and gentlemen, at this time, 2 very special introductions. 2 former heavyweight champions who faced each other 20 years ago in the battle of undefeated champions. They fought a total of 3 times, culminating with one of the greatest heavyweight matches, the Thriller in Manila. First of all, let me introduce to you from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's the former heavyweight champion who always brought one of the most devastating left hooks in boxing history into the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, Smoking Joe Frazier. And the man he faced 3 times in those 3 great bouts. In 1960, he was a gold medal champion in the Olympics. 1964, he won the heavyweight title. In 1974, he won it for a 2nd time. And then he became the only man in heavyweight history to win the heavyweight championship 3 times. Ladies and gentlemen, 3-time heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali! And now, Ladies and gentlemen, from Donald Trump's Trump Plaza Hotel Casino here on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Let's get ready to rumble! It's the battle of the ages. 12 rounds of boxing for the heavyweight championship of the world. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the white trunks and weighing in at an official weight of 257 pounds. This 1968 Olympic gold medal champion won the heavyweight title in 1973. After a 10-year hiatus, he returned to the ring in 1987, and since then his record has been a perfect 24-0 with 23 KOs. His career record as a professional, 69 victories, 65 KOs, only 2 defeats. 56 of these KOs have come in 4 rounds or less, and he's considered by most experts to be the most devastating puncher in heavyweight history. From Houston, Texas, ladies and gentlemen, the challenger and former heavyweight champion of the world, and his opponent in the blue corner wearing the white trunks with multicolored trim, weighed in at an even 208 pounds. He's a member of America's greatest Olympic boxing team, the class of '84. He won a bronze medal that year, and he was the first of that great squad to win a world title as a professional. In only his 12th professional bout, he became the cruiserweight champion. And he is now, in boxing history, the only titleist from that division to step up to the heavyweights and capture that crown also. His overall record as a professional is 25-0 with 21 KOs. More than half of his KO victories have been in 4 rounds or less, and not one heavyweight opponent has made it to the final bell. And for the last 5 years, he's knocked out every opponent he has faced. From Atlanta, Georgia, ladies and gentlemen, presenting the undisputed, undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, the real deal, Evander Holyfield.
Over there. Over the belly button. Okay, gentlemen. You both received your pre-fight instructions in your dressing room. I expect a clean break at all times. Good luck to both of you. Let's touch gloves.
George Foreman has said, "It is my destiny. I'm a miracle." And the fact that he is here bears out most of that to be true. The final chapter is about to be written.
George is laying in his corner. Evander, calm and cool. Both these men seem confident that they're both going to win.
Here we go. Round 1, scheduled for 12. Holyfield exploring with some jabs and working the body, and Foreman has yet to throw a punch. Holyfield, as expected, pressing the action, trying to get a left to the body. Foreman will throw far fewer punches and will cover up with both hands crossed across his face.
He's got a deceptive defense, Len. Crosses those arms, blocks a lot of things. He sees a lot of punches coming. He got under that first big left hook of Holyfield's. Made him miss that one.
Is Holyfield a bit farther away than you expected him to be?
No, this is where he's got to be. He's got to use that speed from the outside here and do exactly that. Pop and go.
What happens all the talk about him sticking right to George's chest to let George punch himself out?
Well, I don't think that's such a great strategy, to tell you the truth. He's got the speed. Why get in close with George? Has him sitting right in front of him.
Those were quotes from his trainer, Lou Duva.
Yeah, I talked to Lou afterwards, and they kind of changed their story, and they felt it best that Holyfield be on the outside.
George connect with the left. The crowd reacts to anything positive that Foreman does halfway through the first round.
Oh.
And Holyfield with a combination.
Left hook, right hand.
George, the long distance left. Look how he covers up with both hands.
Of course, when he's got his arms crossed like that, Georgie Benton knows he can't punch with his arms crossed. It's purely a defensive position.
Foreman obviously the much slower of the two in ring speed and punching speed. Holyfield trying to use that as an advantage. George with the looping right.
Way off the mark, went right behind and passed it behind Holyfield's head.
Jabbing out of there with the left, Foreman is. And here comes Holyfield. Good left hand by Holyfield.
Good left, right, left. He threw 3 quick punches and got out and circled around George. And this is what he's got to do. Can he do it for 12 rounds? I don't know.
That's the elbows.
Holyfield pressing the action, which gives him the advantage when it comes to the scorecard if all else is even. Well, it's not a farce yet. 1 round complete.
That's your plan. Right? That's your plan. Now listen, use the jab a little more, use the jab a little more. When it gets close to you, cut loose. You have to cut loose hard. Just the last 2 got to be hard.
Keep doing what you do. Keep following.
He's reaching for your jab.
I thought I got to be on my right side.
You see, you got those combinations.
Jesus Christ,
That's what you're going to see all night long is what you just saw. You see what I mean?
As you saw, Holyfield sits, Foreman stands. Foreman never sits between rounds, says he doesn't practice that in sparring, so makes things go faster. So he stands, and they told him to try the left hook, Joe.
They told Holyfield also to use that jab. When you do get inside, bit to the body, quick punches, let him go. So he said they didn't have to be hard, but let him loose and then get back out.
Good right from Holyfield, and then again a left. Remember, in all of the earlier stories, George Foreman said he would knock him out in the second round. That's the round he took care of Joe Frazier back in '73.
Right now, Holyfield is just really tattooing George Foreman right now. The speed is really telling the tale. Unless George can land something to the body to slow him down a little bit, start hitting him with the jabs, this could be a trend all night long.
Watch the elbow.
Georgie Benton told Holyfield, this is what you're going to see all night long. Just him plodding in after you, looking to load up.
And a big swing and a miss from Foreman. That left to the body got through, though.
Now, that was a low blow, and let me tell you, Rudy Battle jumped right in and told him, keep him up.
Rudy Battle immediately stopping him and telling him to get the punches up. And now Foreman comes on. During the rules meeting, there was a lot of discussion from the Holyfield camp about low blows and even some elbows thrown by Foreman. It's hard to tell what exactly is a low blow, though, with Foreman. With the high drugs.
Watch your head. Watch your head.
He's going to pull halfway up to his chest, that's for sure. But right now, Holyfield is just dominating these first 2 rounds. Oh, and a nice counter right hand out of a crouch.
Good exchange. And Holyfield effectively ducking and crouching. Flexibility paying off there.
Looked like he ran into a little bit of a left hook. Oh!
Foreman on the attack.
You're not kidding. Holyfield looks a little stunned, a little weary. He came back with his own left hook.
Overhand right from Foreman.
Real wide, but 2 good body shots by Foreman. The crowd going nuts here, seeing Foreman score.
The 42-year-old right now beating up the kid the second round. combination.
This is where Holyfield shouldn't be.
And a wild left by Holyfield. And Holyfield comes in now.
That's his instinct, though, to fight back when he gets hit. He's proven that in all of his past fights. Doakes, Alex Stewart, and everyone else.
And a little fighting after the bell. Separated by Rudy Battle. What a round for Foreman.
The crowd standing on its feet here, Len.
Take a deep breath.
Here's where
All right,
George
let's
finally,
take a look.
finally turned around in the second round, set him up with a jab, missed with the right, but came up on the side of the chin with that left uppercut. If that landed flush, Holyfield might have been in trouble. You know this man can hit.
Take another slower look here. The left, missed with the right, and
well, he knocked his head he knocked his head so far back with that jab that he was out of range when he threw the right hand.
Let's see how Holyfield responds after the strong Foreman round, and Holyfield comes out throwing punches.
The CompuBox stats have Foreman landing 50% of his jabs through the first 2 rounds, and Holyfield 34%. Foreman ripped a nice little shot to the midsection.
Watch your head.
There's where Foreman pushed off with that forearm on the right hand.
Well, referee Rudy Battle will warn him about it if he starts pushing off too much with the arms and elbows. That's illegal to do it. It's part of Foreman's game plan. It's the way he fights. Oh, another great body shot.
Left to the body from Foreman. Foreman probably winning a round so far, and who would have thought it?
Oh, a lot of people in this audience thought it, and a lot of the boxing experts. A lot of the sports writers favored Holyfield. A lot of the boxing people themselves favored Foreman in this fight. Gave him a big shot. Oh, and he's got Holyfield reeling from a couple shots. But Holyfield comes back strong with his own left hook. Kind of a weak effort with that left hand to the body of Foreman by Holyfield. He looks to be tired himself right now. It's supposed to be Foreman that's tired. Oh, he's got him picking up his leg from that body shot, Len.
Foreman continues to attack effectively. Now Holyfield with the left that connects.
You know, Holyfield's game plan was to stay away and box him, but this guy is Foreman is almost impossible to get away from. For every step you take, he takes 2 in, he's right back on top of you. But he's got to stick to a boxing plan if he wants to win this fight.
And Holyfield does land, but Foreman continues to just shrug off all the blows.
I saw him do it time and time again with his sparring partners, and they said, thank God George Foreman took it easy on us, and he was working with some top-notch sparring. They said it's the hardest guy they've ever been hit by in their lives.
Well, the Holyfield camp wanted Foreman to take some punches and miss them, and they've certainly gotten that as well.
But they didn't want him to land the few that he has landed. They felt that they could get away from mostly all of his punches. There goes Holyfield ripping a great shot to the body. He's got to do more of that. You see how easily Foreman pushes him off of him.
Yeah, looping overhand right again, and a little bit of a mention from Rudy Battle.
That landed on the back of the neck, and that's a rabbit punch, and those are illegal punches. And rocked Holyfield. Holyfield rocked Foreman.
And connecting, and Holyfield all over Foreman. Foreman trying to hold him off. It's Holyfield now on the attack.
10 seconds left. 10 seconds left in this bout, or in this round.
George is falling forward and hit after the bell by a Chris Bright. A big finish from Evander Holyfield in the third.
You got him jab. We got to get close to this boy. Close in on it. Close to this boy. Get close to him. Close to punches. Give me the Don't let him out the hook. He hurt too much. All right, don't let him out.
Left hook. Holyfield. Foreman had that right hand down. Holyfield snuck that left hook over and then just let loose with a barrage of combination punches. Lefts, rights, left and rights. He hit him with everything in the book. And unbelievably, Foreman stayed up. Because those were clean shots right on the butt. It's a testament to Foreman's great conditioning. But he was wavering in that corner, looked a little wobbly when he went back.
Just about anybody else would go down from this flurry.
Well, just about everybody else has gone down from this type of flurry.
Well, exciting round 3, and here we go to 4 now. And Foreman sneaks in the left, and Holyfield counters as well, and Holyfield landing lefts. See a smoke out in the distance behind the ring. A smoke bomb went off here in the Atlantic City Convention Center, but not affecting the fighters or those of us here at ringside.
Not yet, but it's creeping its way over.
Coming close.
You can see it in the background on the monitor right there, Len.
Things slowing down just a little bit after the excitement of rounds 2 and 3. Foreman in 2 and Holyfield very big in round 3.
George is not being very accurate with that right hand. He's landing his jabs and a few left hooks.
Tiring a little bit, Joe?
Well, the way Holyfield just grabbed on him looked like he needed a little bit of a rest himself. But, you know, he recuperates quickly and comes back hard, just like that left hook to the body. Yeah, George is looking a little worse for the wear, but when you take punches like that, that takes a few rounds out of your stamina right off the get-go.
George looks to me a little bit tired here, and most experts have said the longer it goes, the more it does favor Holyfield.
Well, if he continues to take this type of barrage of punches in the next couple rounds, it's doubtful that Foreman's going to be able to keep up this pace. It was hard for him to do it when he was a young man. He's 42, 43 years old right now. It's going to be a tall order for Foreman if he doesn't land something himself.
Another strong right from Evander Holyfield. Minutes ago in round 4. George missing, Holyfield connecting. That's the story here in the 4th. Another combination from Holyfield.
Solid left-right inside. The last time George ever went over 10 rounds was in 1977 with Jimmy Young.
From the latter stages of round 3, George has been a large punching bag.
I should say the last and only time. But he did go 10 rounds in one of his comeback fights. I went to a decision with Everett Bigfoot Martin early in his comeback.
Oh, another strong combination. Foreman's shining moment was round 2.
Holyfield just starting
the latter stages of round 3 on, it's been all Evander Holyfield. George, a bit of a low punch in there as well with his flurry, trying to cover up. Final seconds of the 4th round, another strong one for the champion. That's it for round 4. I noticed they did bring a stool out for George, and he puts a leg up to stand on the stool. He won't sit on it, but now at least one leg up. Let's go to our judge, Cindy Barton, see how she scored it thus far. Cindy?
Lynn, I have it right now 38-37 for Holyfield, but I must say that's been a superior performance for Foreman here. He has, the one thing that Holyfield has found out is that he cannot stand in front of Foreman. He's definitely going to get hurt if he does that.
It's all yours, just don't reach.
I think they had your 3rd round reversed there, Cindy. We'll check it out as we take a look at the replay.
Here's, well, that we caught the tail end of that, but I was listening in on the Foreman's corner. Charlie Scheib said keep in a defensive posture until you get in close, then open up. Angelo Dundee told him not to reach with his punches, and that's what he's getting caught with his hands down reaching, and Foreman looks quite weary right now.
Here we go in round 5. Last 2 strong ones for Evander Holyfield. And he continues to press the attack and hit George pretty much at will, and George has not really landed anything in the last 2 rounds, Joe. And another one from Holyfield. And another right left from the champion.
Left uppercut, right hand. It was grazing, but it still landed.
People always talk in terms of the puncher's chance. I mean, is Foreman Doesn't that chance diminish the longer
it
we
sure
go?
has, because his punches look slower and slower just after these few rounds.
Another low blow warning from Rudy Battle. No point has been deducted, but his second warning.
Well, he's fighting. Well, I'll tell you what, that left hook to the body of Holyfield doubled him up, made him pick his leg up, and you heard him grunt. So he's still got a lot of snap in his punch. They just aren't coming real quickly.
Well, a couple of effective body blows from Foreman here in the 5th round.
That's what he's got to do, George. He's got to hit that body to slow Holyfield down. He's got a lot of speed going for him right now.
Another one of those lulls. I've noticed every so often the 5th round was critical for Holyfield when he got rocked by Alex Stewart. Sometimes Holyfield lulls, and this is the time of the fight he does that.
Well, he's such a busy guy. He's on his toes. He's moving. For a big man, that's hard to do. That's how he takes his rest. He backs up for a minute.
Right.
Catches his composure, and then comes back to
He
fight
just took a 40-second timeout, Holyfield did, and he's come back. As we near a minute to go in round 5.
This is where Foreman's got to go to work here, and Holyfield's taking that rest. You're right.
Holyfield gets another left in there. George missing with the left. George is missing with that looping right. But another low left. Through with the left. Foreman connected.
Got to give Foreman credit for coming back like he is right now. He looked like a
doing
big
it with
man
the left
last round.
too. Everyone talked about his right hand. He's gotten some good lefts to the chin. And Foreman with another combination.
A lot of those glancing off of Holyfield, but a few of them getting by and really stunning Holyfield.
And Foreman coming on strong in the 5th round when he looked like perhaps he was lulling Holyfield into thinking that he was in trouble.
Exactly, exactly. And this...
When the guy hits you with one punch, don't stay there, move. You understand? So you stay there for the next punch. Right? Now don't let him hit you with those punches. Those punches take their toll on
Here we see Foreman reaching with that left uppercut, backing up with the jab, short right hand, right off the temple. Bingo again, right off the temple, and those are the punches that can slow a guy like Holyfield down. He needs to land more of those. Here it is from a different angle, right hand right on the chin. They don't look like they're coming fast or hard, but they hurt. Foreman's a big man. Another one right off the air.
There's that quick chopping right hand.
And you see the face of Holyfield squinting from pain.
Well,
like you said, he hits hard.
Dubaskamp kept saying, well, George telegraphs that right. Well, if he does, Holyfield didn't see it coming. George's response to that is, yes, I telegraphed, but the message gets through.
It did there. He was very short with his right hand the first few rounds, but going into the 6th round here, he's starting to land it as of the last round.
Round 6.
Well, this fight's turned out like a lot of people thought it would. It turned out to be a fight and not a one-sided affair.
Oh, strong right from Holyfield.
Countered Holyfield's jab, countered Foreman's jab perfectly.
And a left from Holyfield.
Then went back down to the body.
And Foreman comes back. Back and forth action here. And a left from Holyfield.
And right hand down again from Foreman. There it is again. He's got to get that right hand up next to his face. He's got to block that.
Pushes it up with the elbow. He tries to deflect it off.
Right, but it's not working for him. Holyfield slipping that left hook in right over the low glove of George Foreman.
And Holyfield covering up here.
Well, it's got to be dejecting Holyfield. He's hitting Foreman with everything in the book, and he's still coming.
And you know, Holyfield's strategy has worked. George has thrown a lot of punches here. But it hasn't worked to the effect that he wanted it to.
But you notice in the CompuBox statistics, Foreman and Holyfield throw about the same amount of punches per round and jabs per round.
Oh, strong left to the body from Holyfield. And George comes right back again. It's like one of those punching bags, those plastic ones that
keep
bounce
coming right back up at you. But the thing is that those are filled with air. Foreman's filled with solid 257 pounds of beef.
Foreman certainly answered most of the critics of his stamina. Inside of a minute to go in round 6.
Halfway through the fight right now.
George just keeps on coming. And a left-hand jab from Foreman.
Looks like Holyfield's getting a little bit of a second wind. He's got that good bounce. His punches look quick again. Punching sharp. Got caught with a short little left hook right there. That didn't do any justice.
Fairly even rounds here in the 6th.
Another one. That wobbled him a little bit.
George misses with the round right, but enough of them have gotten through.
Just when you think George is fading, he comes right back. Both of them.
And the same for Holyfield.
What a tug of war.
And the body shots from Holyfield as round 6 comes to a close.
Real good, doing real good, going your way. Wait till you get close enough. That's what you're doing before you do anything. Now, when he brings you, George, he gives you a little right uppercut. You can't reach with it. You just gotta take what you can. Beautiful. Take that little left uppercut.
Copy your box statistics, Joe.
Well, here you've got Foreman just a little bit behind Holyfield as far as punches thrown, but landed quite a few less, only 100 to 158. But the percentages are pretty darn close, 54 to 42%.
Boxing beautiful out there. Box this guy, then take your shot.
And over in Foreman's corner, he's receiving those instructions, by the way, from Charlie Shipes. Even though people like Angelo Dundee and Archie Moore have worked with him, Shipes is the man he listens to while he stands in his corner.
Shipes is the man behind the scene.
Round 7. As we start the second half of this 12-round fight.
And again, Charlie Shipes reiterating to George Foreman. He says, keeping that defensive shell till you get inside, then go to work. You saw Foreman just reaching there and almost paid the price. Oh! I think he just knocked him off balance. I don't know if he hurt him. But his legs look unsteady right now. Holyfield looking a little wobbly.
And the crowd reacting to everything that Foreman does positively.
Oh!
More punches from Foreman, and Holyfield absorbs it in the middle of the ring. And Foreman on the attack in the 7th round.
But watch him come back.
Holyfield taking that little bit of a rest we talked about, and let's see if he gathers himself and comes back.
You could see he was poising himself to come back with a few hard shots, catching George with his hands down.
Holyfield has done it time and again against Michael Dokes and Alex Stewart. He'll take it, and all of a sudden he comes on.
Right, and he's making George waste a lot of punches. Instead of clinching, he's blocking punches. He's letting George throw punches and miss them. A lot of bouncing off the gloves of Holyfield as he lands.
And now Holyfield coming on, and a strong left from Holyfield against Foreman. And a right, and Holyfield landing inside. What punch after another. He's got Foreman wobbling.
But George
still standing.
George blocking a lot of those himself, a lot landing. What an amazing man this guy is. What an amazing person. Wow.
And what a round.
Oh, and
Foreman comes back.
Right hand on Holyfield's head.
This may be the round they talk about in years to come for both men.
He's coming back with
and Foreman coming back at Holyfield.
People were discounting George Foreman as merely a fake and a fraud in this fight. He's proven, I hope nobody ever says that again about him. He's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt he is for real.
And Holyfield a bit low there, but Foreman taking everything that Holyfield's throwing and coming back at him.
Oh, another great left hook by Holyfield. This round is going to go down as one of the greatest all-time rounds in boxing. No doubt about it. Just for the sheer fact that Foreman's still here, but the way he's trading back and forth with Holyfield is unbelievable.
And I can't tell you how incredibly entertaining this is in the latter stages of a 7th round that have gone back and forth where they've rocked each other.
Well, From the $100 seats to the $1,000 seats, people are getting their money's worth tonight.
Final 10 seconds of perhaps a historic round in the annals of heavyweight boxing. And Holyfield coming on strong again. What a round.
What you got to do is step around him with the jab, you understand? Hey, listen, now just step around him with the jab and punch him. Hey, now look, don't get hit with no crazy punches, you don't have to. Look.
Rock him somewhere in the middle, on elbows.
Here we go, we got a replay of that last round. Holyfield taking that right hand, getting rocked, left, right, uppercut, right hand. There's Foreman landing that. Here's another shot. Second time, or this different angle. Right hand, right on the beam. And here's Holyfield coming back. Right uppercut, left hook. Right hand to the chin. Back to the belly. Over the top, right uppercut. Blazing punches. And Foreman riding it out. Here it is. Holyfield again on the attack. Body, head. Boy, what a round.
What you heard in the background, between rounds, the crowd in unison chanting, George, George, George.
The viewers
round
at
8.
The viewers at home have to be chanting that. Amazing fight. Holyfield really has fought a brilliant fight tonight, considering how well conditioned Foreman is. If Foreman wasn't in such great shape, you could dismiss it as just another.
What does a guy like Holyfield say to himself when he knows what he delivered in the last round and George didn't go down?
Well, he's got to not get discouraged with himself. He's just got to stick to his game plan. They said they would do it for 12 rounds if need be, and he is.
Of course, should it go to a decision, people feel, well, the edge will tilt towards the champion in these matters, Holyfield.
Well, he is the busier fighter right now. George has had his moments, but I think overall, Evander's been in control tonight.
But also from the standpoint of being the champion and having to have it taken away from you.
Well, I don't necessarily buy that. I feel if a man wins a fight, he wins it. If he loses, he loses it, whether he's champ or not.
But you know what happens in the annals of boxing. And here comes Holyfield coming forward. Obviously, the 8th round can't live up to what happened just one round before. And a left from Holyfield.
You know, it's funny because nobody really gave George credit or thought he'd be able to take it this far. The judges might be impressed with this. I'm wondering myself if they might be even leaning towards George in some of these rounds because he's been hanging so tough and doing his own scoring.
It's possible. We'll check with our resident judge, Cindy Barton, between rounds and ask her opinion if she is swayed in that regard. Final minute of round 8.
We certainly have an expert to refer to.
Oh, a strong right from Holyfield.
Boy, Foreman hesitated with his right hand and caught a counter right hand by Holyfield.
Another right from Evander and a left. Holyfield has to be asking himself, what do I have to do?
Well, George has abandoned that jab. When Holyfield backs off him, he should be putting that jab out and trying to score something.
George reacting to the feints of Holyfield and then catching a couple of punches. And Rudy Battle mentioning to Foreman about the elbow, which we alluded to earlier.
Oh! Caught Evander with a left hook moving over to George's left side.
A solid round for Evander Holyfield in round number 8. Many of those viewers who called in, I don't think anyone thought it would go past this distance. Then we have a bunch of zeros up on the board for the 9th through 12th rounds, but we've finished 8 complete. And let's check out Cindy's scorecard. Cindy, what do you have?
Well, I have it dead even. It's the most incredible fight I think I've seen in years, especially for a heavyweight fight.
That's a 4-round fight, baby.
As far as the fight lasting so long, I can't see it swaying the judges one way or another, because just like what you said, doesn't matter if Evander's the champion or not. I've worked with these guys many times, and they're top-notch judges.
So they won't be swayed by the fact that Foreman has done so much better than expected in his last adherence in the 9th round, Cindy.
No, I really don't think so.
Round 9.
The rarefied air of round 9 in the Foreman-Holyfield fight.
Pernell Whitaker and Mark Freeland behind us yelling to Evander Holyfield, it's a 4-round fight. It's a 4-round fight, meaning he's only got 4 left.
And Holyfield has come out landing at the beginning of the 9th. That 7th was really something. But don't discount what Foreman did in round 2.
There's no question that Evander Holyfield has got one of the best chins in boxing.
Quick left, crowd reacted as Holyfield went back. And here comes Foreman in on the ropes. And Holyfield hangs on, taking a brief respite.
George going back to that jab, which he needs to do if he wants to get back into this fight big time. Or if he wants to win it, he's got to get busier.
Holyfield taking another one of those little timeouts of his.
Both hands are free.
Remember, almost all of Holyfield's knockouts have come early. Only 2 past the 8th round. And now Holyfield on the attack in round 9. George trying to corner him, can't do it. Holyfield moves away. The Holyfield supporters behind us crying out for lateral movement on the part of Evander. Not much movement of any kind here.
George has really slowed down this round. He's if he wants to get into this fight and take the crown from Evander Holyfield, he's going to have to step it up. Because right now, Evander Holyfield has his number.
3 more strong blows landed by Evander Holyfield. Foreman takes it and comes back for more. Resiliency of George Foreman is a major story here tonight. Holyfield lands another right. He went on punches landed. There would be no contest.
It's amazing, really, that both fighters aren't more marked up around the eyes and
absolutely
mouth, because they've both taken some tremendous heavyweight shots. Well, he made
and another, it's the 3rd time that Rudy Battle says something to Foreman about the low blows.
Well, they're borderline. They aren't real flagrant low blows. So he's warning them instead of taking a point.
Another quick combination from Holyfield.
Too close. Right hand rock Foreman. He's out on Foreman right now.
In trouble. Foreman, you cannot be saved by the bell. And Holyfield is all over Foreman. There's the bell, and Foreman stands and walks back to his corner.
I think it's time for George Foreman to sit on that stool. Take a load off his feet.
That's why we separate the men from the boys.
Beautiful flurry at the end here. Counters over the jab with the right hand. Left hook, back with the right hand. How Foreman's holding himself up, I'll never know. Bang, right hand, 2 right hands over the ear. He just hit him with everything in the book. Right hand right over his jab. Foreman automatically drops his hands, and he's a sitting duck here for Holyfield's combinations now. Boy, there it is, square on the chin. And those type that you don't see are the ones that really rock you.
Joe, while you were watching the replays, referee Rudy Battle walked over and George Foreman asked, "Are you okay?" Foreman said yes. During that timeout, Foreman went over and potentially talked to Angelo Dundee. And here comes George one more time to start the 10th round, well, after nearly being knocked out at the end of round 9.
He looks like he's on weak legs right now, but he's determined to stay in this fight and not get knocked out. It's evident.
You start to think in terms of moral victories at this point, Joe?
Well, at this point, yes, definitely for George Foreman. Nobody ever gave him this much credit that he did to be able to come this far with the punishment he's taken.
Timeout called. I think they want to wrap Evander.
Well,
Put some tape on here.
There's tape on the left glove that's loose of Evander Holyfield. Foreman was sent to a neutral corner to tape it up.
Well, that certainly favors Foreman being able to take a little extra rest here. But the thing is that they're taking this timeout for about 1.5 inches of tape hanging off the glove, and they're concerned with that. And here Holyfield's taking all sorts of, or Foreman's taking all sorts of punches.
The clock is supposed to stop when that happens. Foreman continues to fight. And Holyfield continues to land.
Holyfield's hand speed has really been the difference in this fight.
And another left from Holyfield, and two more. And you see Holyfield on fresh legs, still dancing, and George with that plodding style, and weakened a bit at the end of the 9th. You talked about the speed telling a difference. Age, will you now grant that to Holyfield at this point in round 10?
Well, you know, George Foreman had a lot more bounce and a lot more speed 10 years ago. The age has obviously caught up with him, but still, he's got enough to hang tough to the undisputed champ of the world. Oh, another.
And they trade punches. Punch for punch. And Holyfield landed a strong right at the end of that flurry. And Foreman lands a combination.
He landed a strict 1-2, but it looks like it's going to take more than a couple shots to hurt Holyfield. Throughout this fight, George has landed 1 or 2 at a time. It's going to take more than that.
And the crowd comes alive as George landed a few as the two of them wrestle in center ring. And Holyfield lands some more.
Oh, the jab looked like a right hand from Foreman.
And Holyfield comes right back.
Well, right now it looks like Holyfield is the one who's tiring out in this 10th round. Of course, he's thrown a lot more punches than George, but then again, George has taken quite a bit of punishment. It's amazing he's got this much stamina.
The crowd booing when the two of them take those breathers up against each other. Foreman missing with the left. Remember what happened in the final 10 seconds of the 9th round? Well, we're in the same territory here in round 10. And that's it.
George really starting to swell up around the eyes now.
And let's check out Cindy Barton's scorecard. Cindy, how's it going now?
Okay, Lynn, I have Holyfield winning right now, 96-94. But I have to say, I think for any of us officials, it'll probably be one of the most difficult fights that we'd ever have to score. Every round has been power-packed, but I believe that the speed is more right now with Holyfield than in Foreman.
And as we approach the 11th round scheduled for 12, keep in mind, Holyfield hasn't gone the distance in 5 years.
Well, there goes Holyfield again, countering that slow jab of Foreman's right over the top. That's been the most telling punch for Holyfield this evening. That counter right hand over the jab.
George has continued to stand in his corner between every round, and we've reached 11.
Well, Holyfield landed 21 of 25 jabs in that round for 84 percentile of connect percentage.
And now he is deducting 1 point for the low blow. Rudy Battle, he had warned him 3 times and deducted the point there in the 11th.
The judges have it scored as closely as Cindy thinks they do. That point could be a big, big factor.
Absolutely. If this is a close fight, that low blow point deducted could be the deciding.
There's that counter right hand off of Foreman's right hand. But Holyfield follows right up with that left hook.
But Holyfield's got to win the round to make that point count. A 10-8 would look huge. Not so a 9-9. We've had no knockdowns. 1 point deducted from George Foreman for a low blow here in the 11th round. No cuts and no visible scars on either man.
No, but we have seen George Foreman rocked in 2 or 3 different rounds where we didn't think he was going to get. We didn't think he was going to be able to make it through the round.
And now Holyfield hanging on.
Both of them narrowly missed with right hands.
Obviously, the fatigue factor you would think would affect the older man a lot more, but it's affected both of them, Joe.
The crowd booing. They don't like the fact that the younger man Holyfield's holding on here in this situation. He's grabbing George around the waist.
Those boos are directed at Holyfield.
George is really unable to pull the trigger. He gets close enough. He sees what he wants to do. He just can't pull the trigger on his punches right now.
And Holyfield scores on a combination of 3. Foreman tries to come back, but I don't think those punches have much, Joe.
Now the jabs look decent, but the right hand was real sloppy and real wide.
Little left pushed Holyfield back. Or holding on. I'm not sure Holyfield has taken full advantage of that point he's getting this round. But he still has landed more punches than Foreman has here in the 11th.
He really has been out hustling George in this round.
That was a strong left from Holyfield. George trying to cover up, and Holyfield landed. And another strong right and a left from Holyfield. And one to the body from Holyfield. Another strong right from the champion. What's the line about weebles wobble, but they don't fall down?
Well, let me tell you something right now. George Foreman is coming back with his own body shots after taking those dynamite right hands to the head. Unbelievable.
And that does it for the 11th round, and it brings the crowd to its feet one more time.
Clear-cut round for Holyfield.
Out there, and you got jabs. Don't get careless, you understand?
The last round. You're winning the fight, Evander.
Now look, Holyfield.
And again, the chant of George from the crowd in Atlantic City.
Angelo Dundee chewing Rudy Battle out for taking that point.
Last round we touched the game. You understand? Last round we touched love. Now Holyfield, have your hands up good and high, be alert. Because this guy, this is the last round.
Breathe in, come on, breathe.
All right, Cindy Barton, starting the 12th and final round. What is your score, Cindy?
I have 106 for Holyfield and 102 for Foreman.
And Foreman said something to it. As you mentioned, Angelo Dundee was all over Rudy Battle between rounds for taking that point away.
And in the other corner, Georgie Benton and Lou Duva says, don't get stupid, don't get careless, box and keep your hands up. Foreman's got to knock him out to win this fight.
So they said Foreman had a puncher's chance. Well, he needs that punch here in the 12th round from our estimation to win this fight. But he certainly had his moments along the way.
Ran into a right hand trying to land that big punch too.
Holyfield basically has to stay away from one big bomb, but he lands a right.
Well, Holyfield's doing what his corner asked him to do, basically, and that's the move. But he shouldn't be punching as much as Lou Duva doesn't want him punching this much, but he sees Foreman as a target, and he's going for it anyway.
And Archie Moore just stood up in George's corner and said, go at him, punch, gave him the fist sign. Archie, of course, was the oldest to fight as a challenger for the heavyweight title. And George has the 95 seconds left to try to punch him out and regain that championship, which he lost 17 years ago.
Holyfield stuck to his game plan that Georgie Benton and Lou Duva laid out for him, and he's done it quite well. Boxed and circled, kept George off balance, and stayed away from those big bombs.
If it goes to a decision and if Holyfield wins it to retain the title, I still marvel at what George Foreman was able to accomplish here tonight. Inside of a minute, doesn't look like George can muster that last punch. And Holyfield Holyfield comes on strong with a combination, and George still takes it.
He's got a minute left. Minute left to prove that he can still pack that punch in and win this heavyweight title, but it looks like a pretty futile effort.
And Holyfield again hanging on. He has been through a battle, and Holyfield doesn't want to let go, and Rudy battles.
Battle could take a point away.
Pushes him away. And after that rest, Holyfield tries to come on. A timeout in the middle of the 12th round, staged there by Holyfield with 15 seconds to go in the fight.
That's it, both hands.
The old man has gone the distance, and the crowd at the Atlantic City Convention Center comes to its feet to applaud that.
Still in the fight. That's all we want. Great fight. Great fight, George. Great fight. Great fight. Great fight. Great opportunity. He won. Absolutely. Great fight, baby. Great fight. You fought a great fight out there. You box when you had a box out there, baby. Come on. Congratulations. All right. Let's get everybody. Just get some water. I think we have a little bit of time. Breathe in. Wait a minute.
And now we'll go to the judges' scorecards. Cindy Barton's card had Holyfield comfortably ahead, but we'll see what the three judges who count have it here at ringside.
George, come on with the roll.
Cindy, your final card.
My final card is 116 for Holyfield and 111 for Foreman. An incredible fight.
And you gave Foreman that dramatic 7th round, which I think people will be talking about for quite a long time.
Oh, forever. Best round I've ever seen in boxing.
Well, everyone had a prediction, and few painted this scenario of a 12-round decision for Evander Holyfield with such dramatics in between. Holyfield with a big 3rd round. The 7th round went back and forth, just dramatic. The 11th round, a point deducted for low blows by referee Rudy Battle after 3 earlier warnings in the fight. And we'll take a look at the final CompuBox. We expected Holyfield to throw more punches, but that total of 444 from Foreman was quite good. You see Holyfield's percentage, and that's why, by all rights, he should win the decision. 61%. And it was quite a show. You know, we're all kind of had our fingers crossed when we said fight or farce, and it's certainly all those people who said that it was too dangerous for Foreman and the fight would turn out to be a farce. Well, they were all wrong, and they certainly have a lot to be proud about in George Foreman and the fight he carried on here tonight. What a show, particularly that 7th round. Typical crowd in the ring. Neither man was cut. As you see, they are working on welts to try to get them to go down. George looks good as possible for the post-fight interview. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the decision.
Let's have a round of applause for these two heavyweights. 12 rounds of exciting action. Nobody thought they'd do it. And now from the Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino here in Atlantic City, we go to the scorecards. Eugene Grant scores the bout 116 to 111. Tommy Kazmarek has it 115 to 112. And Jerry Roth scores it 117 to 100 for the winner by unanimous decision. And still, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the real deal, Evander Holyfield.
But how about that little wink and smile from George Foreman when he realized Holyfield was the winner? Foreman, it's trite to say, but Foreman was a winner in many respects here tonight as well. The last cheer for Foreman. His career is certainly not over. We will continue to hear from George, I'm pretty sure anyway. And Evander Holyfield stretches his undefeated record to 26-0 now. And George drops to 69-3. And his first loss in the comeback, now 24-1. But Holyfield was quite a fight. He took a lot from Foreman. And he also dealt a lot as well to Foreman.
I got it. Over here. Get out of the way. Well, get out of the way.
So that 1 point low blow is not as big a factor. One of the judges had the exact total that our unofficial judge, Cindy Barton, had.
Come on, do it. Come on. Come on. Look at Tony. Look at Tony.
Lou Duva, the trainer, and Evander Holyfield, his champion. The fans who came to Atlantic City, I can't speak for all of them, but I trust they were not disappointed by the performance of both fighters here tonight. We'll be going to Joe Goosen shortly in the ring for the post-fight interviews. There's a big crowd in the ring, and it's a little bit tough to get our interview set up, but we'll get it for you momentarily, and we will hear from the champion. All right, I think we're set now in the ring. Let's go to my colleague Joe Goosen. Joe, take it away.
Thank you, Len. I'm here with Evander Holyfield and Lou Duva. Evander, was it a tougher fight than you thought tonight it was going to be?
First of all, I'd like to thank God for the victory and thank everybody that's prayed. And, you know, fighting against a well-blessed man, George Foreman. He proved that, you know, he's very tough. I'm glad I didn't take him for granted. I knew that the man was full of the spirit just like I was. And it's a matter of, you know, who wanted it the most. And I feel that, you know, young age, by me being young, as I would just say, to pull it out a little bit more.
What was the biggest reason you felt that you won this fight tonight, Evander?
Well, I feel that I scored more punches than George. And I boxed him. You know, he was strong throughout the whole fight. And I feel that I hurt him a lot of time, and he was clever enough to get himself out of trouble when he was in trouble.
Were you sort of amazed at the way he recovered from some of those shots you hit him with? You hit him with 4 or 5, 6 shots at a time, and he never went down.
Well, you know, not a point of amaze. George is a determined fighter. I feel that, you know, I have to earn a knockout. You know, the man showed that, you know, he wasn't going to take anything lightly, and I put it out, and he was able to take it, and that proved that, you know, he wasn't old man. He had that desire to win.
Now, you stuck to your game plan beautifully that Lou Duva and Georgie Benton laid out for you. Lou, were you happy with the way he executed his game plan tonight?
Oh, absolutely, Joe. I mean, we weren't looking for a knockout. I said that right at the outset. We're looking to win the fight any way we can win it. If we got to go 12 rounds, we're going to go 12 rounds. He's capable of boxing. That's all we were concerned about. We told him if he sees a shot, take it. But outside of that, keep boxing, snap that jab, and keep turning him, and let the guy waste himself. And that's exactly what he did.
It seemed like George couldn't get off. It looked like when he had his arms crossed, he couldn't counter punch. And when he did decide to punch, you were too far away for him to do anything.
Well, I tried to confuse him. At times he had me confused. George is a lot quicker than people might think. He had a good jab, and he throw punches from unusual boxing stance. So yeah, he throw that uppercut and that kind of round off right, and it kind of kept me puzzled a while. Well, I knew that if I could knock him out, I had to stick to my game plan by using the jab, getting in there, making him spend a lot of energy.
Was he as powerful as people make him out to be? Rate his power for us.
Well, definitely. George can hit. He never cleanly hit me with a good shot on the chin, but it showed that he had enough power when he hit me to knock me off balance.
Do you think that George should continue in this game, or do you think this should be his last fight, Evander?
Well, I think that's up to George. George got enough power and a lot more finesse. A lot of people take George for granted. He got a lot of boxing skills, and he's strong, and I think he's very competitive. It's all up to George. I think George fought his heart out. He showed me more, not than I expect, but I wasn't looking for George to be so determined and in such good shape. He was like in the fight throughout the whole. He was in the fight.
Let's talk about business here, Lou. What's next for Evander? What would you like to see him do?
Well, you know, we have 2 guys ahead of us. We had Foreman and we had Don King. We'd love to fight Mike Tyson, but we can't fight Mike Tyson as long as King is there. We're ready to fight Mike Tyson starting Monday. We're ready to sit down and negotiate. If he don't want it, we'll go number 2, we'll go number 3, we'll go right down the line, but we're going to fight somebody. If it's Mike Tyson, fine. If not, we'll go to the next guy.
All right, Lou, it was a great fight, a great victory for your camp. And Evander, you proved tonight that you are and deserve to be the undisputed heavyweight champ of the world. Thank you.
All right, Joe Goosen and Len Berman again at ringside, and I think the quote that Evander Holyfield had out of that interview is, "I'm glad I didn't take him for granted." And in answer to the question why he won the fight, well, landed more punches, and that was really the story from our CompuBox statistics and what we were articulating as we went on through the fight. And it really was quite a give and take, and that 7th round will live on in annals for a long time to come as both of them rocked each other. And let me bring in our host, Cambrell Marshall. And what was your view, Cambrell, from high above the auditorium?
Well, Lynn, I was very impressed because of all the media people and fans alike who didn't give George Foreman a chance. He came out and proved otherwise. You know, before the fight, we talked about the fact that Foreman said that he wanted to leave this fight as the people's heavyweight champion of the world. Well, he leaves the fight this evening without the heavyweight championship, but I dare say that he leaves in the minds of many people here still the champion. He came in and showed in that 7th round we talked about certainly is going to live as one of the more exciting rounds. And I was impressed by the way that Foreman still can take a punch. It has something to say about the skills of Evander Holyfield to be able to fight a game plan just the way they planned it, to take a few punches, make George get tired and go ahead and deliver some blows back. But I was very impressed with the way that George Foreman was able to take Holyfield's punch as well. And it's been a long time since I've been able to see heavyweights give and take throughout a 12-round fight like these heavyweights did. And when you think about the size of a George Foreman, I think, Glenn, that makes it all that more impressive.
Well, it was. There will be some nitpicks about Evander Holyfield. Those rests he took during rounds, holding on. The crowd reacted negatively to that. There will be those who will say he didn't put the old guy away. But I think that'll just be the story that will follow Evander Holyfield along. And if that Don King situation gets resolved, as Lou Duva puts it, and if Holyfield can fight Mike Tyson, that will be the story right into that round. People will say, well, didn't put him away. Well, Foreman took a lot tonight, as you mentioned, and we're vamping a bit here, Cambrell, because we are still hopeful of getting a word with George Foreman. He left the ring immediately to the cheers of the crowd, went back to his locker room, so we are hopeful in a couple of seconds we will be able to hear from Foreman and the game job that he put on tonight.
You know what, Lynn, we talked about the politics perhaps coming into play with the Duva camp saying they want Tyson, but they don't want King to be a part of it. I may not be the best in hearing, but I could swear that I heard George Foreman at the very end of the fight, right as the end of the fight, the end of the final bell rang, I'm sure that I heard George Foreman say something about a rematch. And this is, of course, the day and time of rematches. Of course, Tyson getting ready to have a rematch from the previous fight that he had. So certainly from the looks of this 12-round fight, it looks like that a rematch might not be something that fans would come out and see. It looks like it's something they'd be ready to do.
Yeah, I think so. I think, as we mentioned, George Foreman, we're waiting to hear what he has to say. We can't put words in his mouth, but we think his career goes on. Holyfield fight does have some interest, particularly when the fight is replayed and shown more on cable and conventional television, and people get to see that 7th round. And don't forget the 2nd round, too, when George Foreman rocked Holyfield pretty good. There was some very strong flurries thrown by Foreman, which will pique the public's interest even more about this big guy. So if he was the people's choice before, even in defeat, he may come out a winner as well. And I know, you know, that's corny when you talk in terms of moral victories, because there aren't. I mean, there are wins and there are losses, but there are all degrees. And in Foreman's case, I really have to say from my heart, it was a moral victory of sorts.
You know, he also comes off as a master strategist in this all. 24-0 coming into this championship fight tonight. A lot of people really were critical of the choice of fighters he fought on his comeback trail, saying that he hadn't fought any legitimate heavyweights. Well, he stored up all the energy that he would need coming into this championship tonight, and certainly that has to give him more credibility as well as a guy who not has been washed up, but just picked his fights and picked his time, and coming away with some $12 million shows that he's smart in more ways than one.
Well, for those of you at home and elsewhere around, we'd like to tell you that George Foreman will be speaking with us shortly. He did put out a request for a pair of sunglasses, so Cambrell, if you can run him down a pair of your shades, will help us get that interview accomplished, because Joe Goosen has headed back to the locker room area, and we will be hearing about George plans, and we hope that comes up very shortly. Cambrell, as so much was made in some quarters of personal problems that Evander Holyfield supposedly had, and as he proved here tonight, that was all just talk. As most of it was. I mean, very few people predicted a full 12-round decision. Nobody thought that they'd have a give and take back and forth. Everyone talked about the one big punch from George Foreman. That didn't happen. Evander Holyfield still up in the ring, and a lot around ringside are waiting for him to make his way back through the crowd, as he is still the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And what a show it was.
You know, you got to wonder, in terms of Evander Holyfield, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, he still comes off as a guy who played the smart fight, did everything he was asked to do, and still, even with the flush punches he landed against George Foreman, was not able to put him away. Now, at this point in time, I don't want to jump out and question him right away, but you wonder about the power of his punches, being able to go ahead and put away someone. He fought two big fighters. He won the championship beating James Buster Douglas, put him away. Now against George Foreman, he's been able to do that as well. And now we get an opportunity to find out from George Foreman himself what is his future. And we understand now that Joe Goosen is caught up to the challenger. Joe, take it away.
It's a difficult time for you, so I won't keep you long. I'll just ask you a couple questions.
I tell you, we've kept our dignity and there was no retreat. It's an honor. Every young man out there, 35, 40, and 50, can be proud of themselves. I had him out in the last round, but he was really hurt, and I didn't want to hurt him. I took pity on him because I thought I was ahead in points. But realistically, we've proven that the age 40, not 50, not 60, is not a death sentence after all.
Well, you had the whole house pulling for you tonight, George. That's for sure.
So
George, let me.
It's still our home, and we fight on.
Let me ask you something. Did you surprise yourself at all with all the critics you had? Did you feel that you were going to put on this brilliant of a performance yourself?
Well, it was a good champion I was in the ring with. It was a good fight for that kid. He fought real good. He proved that his family, I'm sure his family was behind him. My family was behind me. We had a good prayer. All the young men, we never pray to win. We pray to go out there and do our best. And when a man gets a chance and an opportunity for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and he does his best, what more can you ask for?
You couldn't ask for more. You couldn't ask for more. One last question.
You have seen a total
One last question. George.
You have seen a total eclipse.
George, let me ask you something.
Once in a lifetime. Like the eighth wonder of the world. Never will you ever see this again.
George,
it'll take 50 years before another generation sees something like this. We're a man closer to 50, 60 than he is to 20 and 19. Show the whole world by going toe-to-toe, and the young man is holding on for his breath. And we keep going. Boy, I tell you, what is happening to the world? All senior citizens around the world can be proud of themselves. Hip, hip, hooray!
And George continues preaching to the end. I'm not sure when he said he thought he was ahead on points and took pity on Holyfield at the end, but at least he changed the focus here. He thought it would be a miracle tonight, and now that's changed to at least it being no retreat. And he says he will fight on, and he'll certainly continue to talk. Back to you, Cambrell.
And we've been able to see a little bit of history in the making here tonight. The former champion, after 17 years, hoping to regain the heavyweight championship, not able to do it, but he gave the fight fans here every bit of their money's worth. For the record, it was Morrison over Violin in the earlier fight, Paez and Suarez fighting to a technical draw. It was certainly an